All right. I'm yours truly, Diva Laree, in the house representing for UNA University and UNA Republic. I was going to play my music, but I can't find it. Anyway, welcome everybody. Welcome, and welcome. Guess what? I have some special guests in the house. All right, special guests in the house. They are UNA students, okay? I invited them here today because I want you to hear them tell you what they've learned being in the university. Some of them have been with me for years. Some of them are newer students, but I want you all to hear their experience firsthand. And they'll tell you some of the things that they've learned, how they've applied the knowledge and the information. And so we're going to get into it. I want to welcome you to a very, very, very special episode this evening. All right, so you all know we're going into spring 2025, all right? And we've got wonderful sessions for you, and we're going to pull this up for you right now. One of our wonderful sessions is called The Current Effects of History, okay? Now, you all can go and find us at unauniversity.com. And on there, you will be able to take a look at, and I'll pull this up here. 1 second. All right, so you'll be able to take a look at the classes that we offer. So unauniversity.com. Okay, and here, I gotta know how to work those system here. All right, here we go. Okay, so here at unauniversity.com, let's put this up on the screen. All right. So here at unauniversity.com, you're gonna find the new courses. Now, back to basics, you all know that's the course for your trust, your membership trust program. Okay, so if you want to be a part of the UNA Republic and you want to get your membership trust, that class comes with the trust. However, for the UNA University, these are the classes that we have: the current effects of history, all right, and this is dealing with everything going back to the beginning of the humans and the beginning of this whole United States of America, and understanding how our history affects what's going on with us right here currently. Okay, so that's why it's got that term current, because you're going to understand how our energies that we put out in the past affects what's going on today. So that's the current effects of history. That's our Monday class. And then on Wednesday, we have the right court document. Notice it's spelled W-R-I-T-E, all right, because we're going to show you how to write the right court document. Okay, so we're going into it here, understanding how, if you have to stand in court, how you stand, how you make sure your documents are right and set up the way you need them to be set up before you go into a physical court. So we're gonna get into all of that and how powerful your court is. All right. So without further ado, let's get into this. If you're interested in the UNA University, find us at unauniversity.com. unauniversity.com. Okay, let's go. Today's topic is the testimonials of the UNA students. Okay, now, all my students in the house, y'all say hello.
Hello, Diva. Hello, everybody.
All right.
Hello, everyone.
Yay. All right. So I got, wonderful people in the group tonight. Now, first of all, I want to start here. All right. And let's go into, when you guys first heard this information. All right. Because some of you all had been studying, and then some of you all may have heard it maybe from TikTok or wherever you heard it from. I want you to remember where you were when you heard it, or how much you knew when you found out about UNA. And then I want you to talk about how you felt hearing the information that you've learned? I want to hear your feelings as the information started to, I guess, unravel for you. So who wants to go first on that? Okay, hold on. Let me make sure I see you. All right. Who's going? Who said I'll go? Sean, who was that? Who was it? Okay, hold on for a second. Okay, so you know I'm new. I'm a newbie to this. So let me see if I can get. Oh, here you go. There you go. All right, Shaba, go ahead.
So I hadn't seen or heard of any of the classes before I called you that time. One of your students was telling me about your class, and I had been doing like studying more. I think it's like two that tell me it's a science form and it's another that, but I was looking through both all of them and information. When I first took the class, I talked to you. I was excited because I was like, okay, this sounds like it's going to be very informative. I didn't know what to expect at all when I started. I didn't think it was going to be so much information, and I didn't know like. Yeah, I didn't know it was going to be so much information and so thorough. But I guess when I first started taking the class, I was like, this right here. I was like, this is where I need to be at right now. And I was, really excited. I was like, this is what I felt like I guess you say you fell apart gold mine or something like the strip gold. You just walk in, you mind your business, you're like, oh, it looks like gold. Oh. So anyway, that's kind of how I felt like when I was like, oh wow, this is really, and then the having like maybe the support system from just people. Like I was at first I was all by myself, just kind of like taking information here, taking information there, trying to put it together. But everything like it was so clear, and it was a moment of clarity.
Okay.
When I started taking part.
Thank you, Shaba, for that. Now, was there anybody? Because this is what I get a lot. People will have a sense of anger sometimes when they start hearing the information. Like, man, I should have learned this when I was young. Did anybody go through that? Anybody? And what was the transition, and how are you feeling now?
Hello.
Hey, Genesis.
I won't say that I was angry. Just more so how I started going down a rabbit hole probably since 2015. My main deal, I was just trying to figure out, as far as with melanated people, I never really got the answer as to why we are in the situation that we're in. Because anybody else that you follow and most other information, it just starts at us being a victim. You on TikTok on another subject, another person's page actually posted you, and that's how I found your information. But I wasn't angry. I was angry. Well, I will say, yeah.
Just a little bit. Just teeny weeny.
I was angry because I could never figure out, like nobody would ever give me the information why melanated people were in the situation that they were in. And stumbling across your stuff on TikTok, as well as other subjects, I was actually able to get that answer. So it was actually a form of release, actually, when I found out the answer to my question. So my anger was more so not so much we were in the situation, but why does nobody have an answer?
Can you talk
for 8 years?
For how many years?
8 years I was searching for why melanated people were on the bottom.
Okay, can you talk about some of the answers that you did find that were answered for you? Some of the things that were answered for you? Maybe one or two things.
Well, return of energy. You know, you never really taught the universal laws. So until you learn the universal laws, you're looked at as a victim. But when you actually learn that you're in whatever situation you find yourself in, energy cannot find you unless you put it out. So when you learn that, you know, melanated people first put out an energy, and that's why we are in the situation we're in. So that was the relief for me. So a lot of stuff started making sense with that and other areas in life when you realize, hey, you know, you're responsible for what's happening. You're just not a victim.
Right. So, and that ties into one of those sayings that you hear people quote, those quotes from the Bible where they're saying, no weapons formed against me. Okay, well, why is that? Well, if you didn't form a weapon, then it can't form against you. And then a lot of people don't recognize that this is what's being stated is an actual universal principle. So good. Thank you for that. Carla, I want to get you in here. Let me make sure we can you guys in the comment section let me know. El King, thank you so much for joining. Diamond, I think it's Diamond TW, thank you for joining on YouTube. I want y'all to like and share and subscribe. My people on TikTok, Halo, y'all know I love you. Good afternoon, Wilson. Scrub, what's going on? I want y'all to like, share, subscribe, and follow and all that great stuff. So, Carla, I want to get you in here because I wanted to talk to you about, you know, you were one of those people who introduced this term, luxury. Carla said, you know, UNA is a luxury. And if you hear me saying that term, it's Carla. Carla brought that up. And that's a good term because one of the things that we here with UNA, our whole thing was getting to your paradise, finding your paradise. And so in order to do that, you have to have the luxury of being able and willing to learn. And so, Carl, I want you to talk about that, please, and how you found UNA, what you've learned from it. Carl has been with me for quite some time, so please share your experience.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I've been on a spiritual journey of my own for quite a long time, and I've been down a lot of rabbit holes. I mean, a lot of them. And so when I came across you, Diva, it was relief to me. I wasn't angry. It was just pure relief. And when I saw you, you were on someone else's podcast. I think it was Ken Billion.
Okay.
And you were talking things like, you know, the feminine is God. I had never heard that, you know, coming from a Baptist background, which was always the patriarchy, and God was a male figure and masculine. That was just like fascinating to me. And I was like, I have got to find out more about this. And so I started looking at your YouTube videos and TikToks and stuff. And so I saw you offering, you know, things like about the trust. And I had been on different websites and people would say things about, you know, you didn't have to pay taxes, you know, all this kind of thing, but they were never really teaching you anything unless you paid a bunch of money and you didn't know beforehand, you know, what you was going to really get out of that. You know, it was just something a sack you're putting all your money into and still really never gaining any true knowledge. And so listening to you, and you were like willing to walk hand in hand with the person and make sure that they were getting it and that they were actually being empowered, that really was life changing for me. And like I said, I wish I'd had this information earlier. I felt like I could have been much farther along in my journey, but I do understand things happen when they're supposed to happen. And so I've just found a greater peace in my life, knowing that things are not just happening to me, that I can control what's happening and get out of that victim mentality. I mean, our society has really put melanated people in that position to kind of think of themselves as being victims when we actually are holding the key
to turning a lot of things around in this entire world. And so it has just been refreshing to me. I mean, it has given me a new perspective on life. I'm looking at it through fresher eyes. I mean, it's just amazing. And this has been an opportunity I've been praying and waiting for. So I'm excited.
So now, you've been with us a couple of years. Has it been worth it to you?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, it's a luxury to me. You know, one thing I will say about us melanated people, you know, sometimes we'll have excuses, but we will make things that are important to us a priority. You know, whether it's buying a $200 pair of Jordans or whatever, if it's important to us, we'll find a way to make it happen. And for me, this is bread and butter. It's a staple to me. I mean, it's something I've got to have. And so, you know, I'm going to make priority for it. If I have to make sacrifices, I will, you know, I'm willing to do it to keep learning this information and incorporating it in my life.
Have you gotten a return on your investment, Carla?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, again, it was unexpected because I didn't know this information from the beginning. You know, just knowing that when we're born, we're turned into a corporation. I didn't know that. And I often wondered why at tax time, you know, I was never on the receiving end. You know, I felt like I was working really hard and dotting all my I's and crossing all my T's, but I was never on the receiving side. I'm like, well, you know, this is the one side of the equation. What's going on here? And just by being in this class and learning actually what is going on, I have found equity.
Okay.
I will definitely say that.
So let's do this. I want you to do this with me. I want you to put your finger up like this. All right. This because I don't like to get into numbers. Now, this is how much you paid, okay, for being in UNA. How much have you received compared to this?
I would say at least that.
At least that?
At least that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you don't have enough room. You might need to do something like
I got short fingers. But yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I have definitely received that.
Okay. What? Okay, hold on. Shava putting up some fingers. Thank you, Carla. Shava, you had something to say. I saw you put fingers. Can you? All right. Okay, so I want to get LaRuth in here. And I want to ask LaRuth if, you know, one of the things that we found is that when we started UNA, the UNA University, what ended up happening is it became a community. And let me know if I'm dragging, if my camera is caught up, because I think I'm dragging a little bit, but let me make sure with my tech people, and we're going to continue. I want to welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. 1 second. Let me make sure audio is good. Peace and blessings to you. Diamond says no one can tell why blacks are where they are. No one can tell you why blacks think of all the reasons why. Then hold on, let me see what Diamond is saying. I think that's Diamond. And then realize that. Think of all the reasons why, then realize that they are all correct. All right. No, they're not, Diamond. Or DL, D Lamont, TW. Hold on for a second. Okay, so, and I'm going to get on that comment that was made by DL Lamont or D Lamont in a second. But LaRuth, I want to get you in here because I want you to talk about, you know, again, one of the things I find is that when people come in, they see the UNA University as a community. They see the UNA University as a community. And then, you know, it becomes something that they do for themselves. It's like, okay, this night, Monday nights, Wednesday nights, these for me. All my family, y'all need to go in another room. That's what I found. But LaRuth, I want to know what you found when you came into the university. How does it make you feel? If you can share your thoughts on that.
Okay. Hello again, everyone.
Hello, LaRuth.
So when I came in, I think I was perusing the internet and I saw an old clip of yours. Um, I listened and I researched a little bit and I just set it aside. I didn't bother with it anymore. And then I think I received an email inviting me to join you all for a question and answer or something. I think I gave you a phone call. And after the phone call, I was really intrigued. Some of the things you said, it's nothing that and I'm a senior, it's nothing that I've really heard before. So up on um, um, having the first couple of classes, some of the information was information that because it was new and it was uncommon, and you brought some receipts, right? Still had to go and kind of research what was going on. But learning the history of the United States of America, learning the history of Washington, D.C., learning the history of some of the some of the other things that you went over in class, why things were done, even the terminology of a lot of things, learning some of the laws and the nuances of the laws. This was all very, who was it? I think Carla said refreshing. It was really, really refreshing. Um, of course, I wanted to investigate more of the taxes and things like that. But the information was so new, and it was when I would receive it, I would have to try to regurgitate it to my husband, right? And because I wasn't really seasoned, I mean, ideas were flying all over the place. And sometimes we would be looking at the news or listening to someone, and I would say, "See, that's what I told you. That's what Diva said. That's exactly what she said." And I kind of understand it now. The value for me has been being a senior. I have invested in income producing properties. I've invested a lot of time in work. I've retired, and I have I've had the experience of um, paying off a lot of debt, right? And I'm looking at all of this debt that I've paid off, and with the information that I'm now receiving, I'm like, at first I was a little bit perturbed, but I didn't want to put that energy out when I was kind of checked about that energy. I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to call people devils. I'm not going to do all of this. Um, but just being thankful for being able to receive, to hear, and then to receive the information, and utilize and enlighten other people on some aspects of it. The other value, you asked Carla, I think, what value Charlotte had stated, what value they had received out of the class. Now, I've been in the class for one season?
One season.
Class?
One season.
One season. I'm going to tell you, I have received such an abundance. I think just being in the class and knowing learning what I've learned, I think I've saved at least $75,000. Okay, I don't want to put those numbers out, but I've received for my tuition, and this is my first session, and listening to you, I have saved a vast amount of money. in just the couple of months that I've been with you. So yeah, I've got a lot of value out of the class. There were some things that I heard before in bits and pieces, but was never able to really put it together. And I think it was like Carla had said, you hear people talking about this and this, but they want you to invest a lot of money up front. And I don't know you, and I don't know what I'm getting. So here, I just appreciate the information that's being transferred, not only on a applicable level, but also a spiritual level. One other thing I want to say.
Okay.
Can I say one other?
Yes, come on, bring it.
Okay. So I was talking, and I think you guys heard it before, but it just resonates with me. I was talking with a friend of mine, and they were coming at me, and they were really angry at me. They were really angry at me for what I consider to be this little bitty minute thing. To me, it was a little bitty minute thing. And they just wouldn't let me go. So I brought out my vibration chart, right? And I showed it to them.
Right.
I showed it to them. I said, you know what? I'm trying to be right here. I was somewhere in the middle, acceptance or somewhere. I said, and you are bringing me, you're bringing me way down here. And I said, what did I do to you? And they looked at me and they looked at the chart and they started to read it. And they looked at me and they stepped back and said, I'm doing that to you. I'm so sorry. And they were so sincere. They were so sincere. So, I mean, in just a little time I've been here with Diva and the Gang, I've just really learned a lot and really appreciate everyone's input, the experiences, I really love the role play, right?
Okay.
When you get pulled over, when you go to court, I love the role play. I'm gaining a lot from that, but I do. I really have gained a lot from the courses, and I really appreciate it and the community that we're in.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's great feedback, and I'm really glad to have you here. Thank you for allowing me to share the information. And real quick, I want to ask you because the consultations, we talk to everybody that's coming into UNA University. We want to know who you are, all right? And we also want to make sure, you know that I'm going to take time with you, all right? How was the consultation for you, LaRuth? And then others, I'm going to give you a chance to in a second. But real quick, LaRuth, since you're here, how was the consultation before you came in?
You mean, are you referring to the initial consultation?
Yes, the initial consultation.
The initial consultation, you know what, I was in my car, I called you up, and I believe that I had stated something about taxes or getting this money or something to that effect, and you kind of put up the brakes. Whoa, hold on. That's not the reason to join. The class. That shouldn't be your goal. What we're doing is educating individuals on how to stand. I didn't understand what you were talking about how to stand.
Okay.
Because I didn't know any of this information. But the first consultation, it was intriguing because of the things that you said, and kind of my mindset was on finances.
Okay.
Point blank, my mind was on finances, and what I received from you was teaching, and then you went. I believe you went into some of the. I'm not sure. Maybe some of the history of UNA and some of the history of melanated people.
Okay.
However it was very intriguing. So I did come and listen in on the first session.
Okay.
And the first session was very interesting, very intriguing. It was a lot of information. I wasn't born, but being in the church for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably had said something close to it. I was not. My mind was not shaped for that information that you were putting out. So it was very intriguing.
Okay.
And it still is. I definitely have a long way to go. But I am sticking with it. I am learning new things. Love to learn. Love the information. So I'm here.
So real quick, and then I'm gonna get to my brother over there. Now, real quick, when you came in, your mind was on the finances, and I encouraged you that you got to get on the spiritual side, and when you get the spiritual in order, the finances come in order as well. Would you agree or disagree with that statement?
No, I would totally agree.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I just want to make sure, because a lot of people come in and their whole idea is, I want to get the money. I want my birth certificate, and then I'm gonna get this money, and then they totally miss the whole spiritual side of this game. And once you get that spiritual side intact, the money follows. Yeah. You don't have to chase it.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, LaRuth. I appreciate that. All right, everybody, hold on for a second, because I got to bring my brother in here, Kevin. And I know you guys might be saying, well, what's all these women's at? Where the men's at? Where the men's at? Hold on for a second. So I want to introduce to you Kevin. Now, UNA on TikTok, our largest audience, 75% was male. And so in the class we have a large number of men too. Not all of them are here this evening. Actually, this is not our whole class, but just a few that I wanted to bring in to do testimonials. Now we got Kevin. Kevin's on the road, and it's dark where he is. But Kevin, I want you to speak about how you found out about UNA and what you've learned about being in the class.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you very well.
Okay. So I saw people on TikTok. I had already been introduced to the information back in 1999, but I kind of like been off the road and on the road, on track, off track with it. Not really, consistent. I didn't have anyone to really teach me. The gentleman that did introduce him to me, he was an older gentleman in his 80s, and after introducing it to me, 2 weeks later, he was like, he's done teaching. So I kind of been trying to, find more ways since then. But anyway, a couple of years ago, I seen Diva on TikTok, and what got me is when she tied in spirituality with law. I said, hold up, I never heard this before, So I would come on her live, and listen to her, and she's talking about history. And I said, wow, so I'm gonna have to join this class. So I did tell her, I said, I'm gonna join your class, but I didn't join immediately. It probably was like 6 or 8 months later. Now, during the consultation, the conversation that we had, she mentioned a couple of things that told me this fucking is on a high vibration. and I'm finally in the right place. And I'm so glad that I'm in the class. I've learned so much, not just about law, but the spiritual side. It has allowed me to go more into myself and, correct some things. And I'm just grateful for that.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, so now I want to get into this. Y'all know we're big on it. I'm big on applying these laws. Don't just talk about it, because the big thing is working on self. That's the hardest. That's the most difficult part of everything we're doing here with UNA, because a lot of times, again, we get into that victim mentality and we don't recognize that we are the ones that are creating all of the energies that are coming to us in our dimension. So I want to go into this right now with anybody who wants to step up and talk about any situation where you have applied these laws. Now, I'm going to go into this, and then somebody raise your hand. So I want to know who wants to say something. But one of the things that we have to remember, and I also tell the students a lot, okay, when something triggers you, you have to recognize that it is a reflection of you. I've given examples, for example, of people who are thinking like the cops, they picking on me because they racist, or these people out here are racist. And when somebody tells me that, they are telling me who they are. I'm going to say this again, because a lot of people don't get this, and I want somebody to resonate with me on this, please. Students, that you have had your own situations. But for example, I had a woman, as I've given this example before, who says she lived in Boston. And she's like, up here in Boston, all these people are racist up in Boston, and that's just how they do. Okay. So she's telling me she's going down the street, and this one called her the N-word here, and then this one called her the N. And I knew. When I heard, I was like, okay, well, we're going to see. But when she said it happened again, I knew it was her. And then again, after we have our conversations, it comes out that she's got a neighbor that lives in her complex, and she comes over, the woman is mixed. And so she calls the woman half-breed. And she says, well, y'all call a half-breed, but it's cool because I'm a half-breed too, I'm mixed. And then I said, but did she tell you she didn't like it? Oh, yeah, she said she didn't like it, but it don't matter. I'm a half-breed, she a half-breed, we're half-breed. I just call her half-breed. It don't mean nothing. Okay. But then when the energy comes back and somebody calling her the N-word, she doesn't get it. And so, again, as we start to recognize that everything that shows up, that racist cop, this people calling you the N-word, this one treating you this kind of way, and this melanated person being this way, when we start recognizing it, then that's when we can start changing our dimension, because we start fixing ourselves. I want to know somebody who wants to speak on it, who has had that experience. Who? Shava? Oh, Genesis. Come on, Genesis. Hold on for a second. All right, I'll get you next, Shava. Genesis.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, I want to speak on a situation with me and my neighbor. I had this neighbor that I just felt just terrible. Like, if you can imagine the worst neighbor that you could possibly have. This guy, he had children. His children would be all on my property. They would throw balls. I had a ball that I believe cracked a window. Just very disrespectful in my yard. And I would ask the kids, to get out of my yard, please. If I say anything to the children, the man would get irate. Like, one time he got so irate, I was inside and he came to my Ring camera just cussing me all out. Cops had to be called on the man. And so I set up a consultation with Diva, because I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, I didn't get it. I'm like, why is this man behaving this way towards me? And she was like, well, you know, it's a reflection. And here I am, I'm thinking like, how I see my reflection? I'm not acting all crazy. I'm not going to jail. I'm not coming up on people's ring cameras, cussing them out and whatnot. And she was just like, the way that he is making you feel, you have offended someone else. So long story short, my daughter's father was the source where the energy was coming from. And she's like, well, you're going to have to write him a letter. I'm like, write him a letter? She's like, if you write him a letter and just basically kind of, you know, settle things and just an uplifting letter, that neighbor's going to disappear. Watch. I was just like, okay. And I was kind of hesitant on it, and she came in my inbox on Messenger on Facebook. Where's that letter? So I end up.
Hold on for a second. When I told you to write the letter, what was your whole energy about it?
I was just, well, first, I felt like, you know, the ex is the one causing me, you know, problems. It's like, he's the problem. Why do I have to write him a letter? He should be writing me a letter. But, you know, I was like, okay, let me just listen. And then when she came in and told me, hey, where's that letter? And like I said, we pull out the chart, like the room said, to get my vibration, because my vibration was down at the bottom. Bring my vibration up, and then let me write this letter. And I wrote the letter, sent it to him, and when I tell you that the problem with the neighbor cleared up, I have not seen this man. It's other people in the neighborhood have seen this man. And he wasn't just a terror to me, he was a terror to other people in the neighborhood, but they have seen him. I have not seen this man. It's like he has disappeared out of my dimension, like not there. So it's true with the energy, and like I said, even if you don't see yourself in somebody else, whatever energy is coming to you is a reflection. Somehow you offended somebody, something has happened, and if you clear up that energy, your surroundings, your dimension will actually clear up. Like I have not, the boys, his sons have not been in my yard. They play in their own yard. They haven't caused any damage to my property. And it's almost like he has disappeared off the face of the earth. I do not see him.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing him in months.
Thank you for sharing that. So, in one of the things that Genesis is talking about, again, I always say, if you're getting an energy, you are reflecting. It's reflecting you rather. And when you clean up yourself, meaning go on the spiritual side, because you say you called the police, but this was about the down spiral. Because when you call the police, and remember I've said to you guys, when you're sovereign, you have to handle your business in an adult, mature way. And part of that is not calling the cops and getting them involved in your situation, because once the cops come in, now he's like, oh, what? Oh, she called the police on me? Now the children gonna know, his children gonna know, and his children gonna act up. And they're gonna do what children do. You know what they do. So now then you got a whole nother situation started. So by clearing it up on the spiritual side, because he really, as I said, he didn't really exist. He's just returning an energy. That's all he is. And so once Genesis was able to write that notice, again, y'all also remember, thank you for that, Genesis, that when you write that letter, you're writing a contract. And the letter doesn't just go to him, it goes to the universe. You're putting this out into the universe. Remember, you write something, you're giving it flesh. And so what she's giving is a flesh of resolution. So the thing was to thank him, be gracious for him and the daughter, and whatever he was doing or whatever he wasn't doing, be grateful so he can get out the way so you can raise the baby. All right, that's another story. We ain't going into that. Thank you for that, Genesis. Shava, did you want to share something? Thank you, Genesis. Shava? No? Okay. Did anybody else, you want to share something, Shava? Okay. Did anybody else want to share anything on your application of the laws, or any other way that you've applied how you applied the laws and how it's helped you? Somebody? Anybody?
I would like to share a neighbor story.
Okay.
As you well know, I've been having a little construction project where I've been restoring my childhood home. And across the street from me used to be a much older lady than myself, but she passed away. And over a course of time, there's been several renters that I moved into her location. And, you know, they've all had different things going on, and they haven't stayed long. But we had this last resident to move in. She was an Albion lady, and she's actually married to one of my relatives. And the funny thing is, even though she was married, she had quite a few suitors.
Okay.
The minute her husband would leave to go to work, all the other suitors would show up.
Oh, wow.
And they just would party all day. You know, they'd party all day. And I guess they would lose track of time. And when her husband would come home, all these suitors were at his house, and it would end up in a brawl, you know, and they'd be out fighting in the street, and just, you know, cops, someone called cops, I never give it, someone would call cops, and, you know, this was like the most action that had ever happened on our street since that old lady died, and we had ever seen, you know, and this was continuous. And so when she would introduce herself to you, you know, she would tell you, you know, that she don't like white people. That's what she said. You know, I thought that was odd, you know, and she would be like, you know, I'm not white, I'm Italian, you know, I'm like, okay, whatever. And then she would tell you I'm bipolar, you know, so she was, you know, already setting you up to give an excuse for her behavior, you know. So, you know, like, whatever, we all dealing with something, you know. So as time went on, they kept being disruptive, you know, she liked to play her music really loud, well into the night, you know, while it wasn't appropriate. People calling the cops on. So for the most part, though, the community walked in peace with her, you know, and I looked, and as we continued to walk in peace, and nobody would really respond to her energy the way that she was accustomed to, her suitors transitioned one by one. They all either died from like a heart attack, very young one who was only like 42 years old, died from a heart attack. The other one was murdered, and the other ones were like locked up until they were all gone. And now this lady is like the nicest person you ever want to meet. She goes and, you know, checks on the neighbors, make sure the old people are doing okay, you know, and her and her spouse seem to be getting along okay. I mean, it's just a major transition, really, because no one would match her energy the way, you know, she was coming off, because she had to adjust her vibration to fit in with everybody else.
Right. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Carla. All right. So once again, I want to welcome everybody and thank everybody for joining on TikTok and YouTube. Lucy, thank you so much for the love. Scud, thank you. Scud says, agreed, much sorry. Don't know what you're sorry about. BRN Diva 7, welcome, and welcome. Okay. So once again, tonight's session is testimonials. I just wanted to have some of my students here because we are starting up for spring season 2025 for UNA University. It's going to start on April 14th, okay? So we're going to be back in session April 14th. You know, what's so funny to me is, you know, when I first started UNA, and then we always have our breaks. So we go, for those of y'all who don't know, UNA University is in season. So spring, summer, fall, winter, okay? And we're, once again, coming into our spring season. But whenever we break, I'd have students, they go, Dave, when the class starting back up, we're ready. We's ready. So I always love that. So I wanted to know when we have our breaks, does that give you guys time to study, or what are you feeling, or is anybody else excited about class starting back up? Who wants to answer that question? Anybody? Oh, they want to be quiet now.
I am. I'm excited. You know, I'm excited.
All right, Genesis. And I know, like I said, Shava and Carl have been with me for a while. A couple of Kevin's been with us for a while. So, but again, if anybody does anybody have anything else you want to add before we get out of here? Go ahead, Shava.
I have never had perfect attendance, but I feel like I've gone to most of the classes here. I always make it a priority to be at the class with that, like, and it's because the information, I like to hear it fresh. Even though I won't go back and listen to it, it's just something about the energy of the class. It's like a recharge. So, I would like to see right now, I had a hair appointment, but I wasn't going to miss this. So, it's like, okay, everybody, oh well, we put a line in, I'm going to be there. Because the energy and sharing the energy with everyone is, like I said, a recharge. It boosts. So, I really think
Excellent. Thank you, Shava. So for those of you all who don't know, also there are a lot of our students have their own business, and so we encourage you all to, first of all, we want you to go into your own business at some point because that's going to the next level. But Shava has her own business. Let's see who else. Kevin has his own business. A couple of our other students have their business, and then a lot of the students are looking to move into their own business. So we also help our students with that as well. So we're going to make sure you get your business under trust, make sure you're set up so that you can, if you decide to get loans, you want to get your business credit set up and established. So we help you go through that step by step, okay? And it takes time because it's a mindset change as well. So it's not just, going and setting up a business right away, but we show you how to do that. Also, we've got all kind of tools to help you get your website going, to help you get your, your promotions and marketing going. So we do a lot to make sure our students are successful, okay? And again, one of the things that we can boast is that you're going to get a return on your investment. And Shava shows up. That's another. She's gonna show up for class. So I know she was saying I don't have perfect attendance, but she's got very good attendance with UNA. I don't know many classes that she's missed. So happy to have her in it. Now, before we get out of here, anybody else? Thank you so much for joining. Everybody who showed up tonight, we sure do appreciate you. Does anybody have anything you want to add before we get out of here tonight?
I just want to say that I am anxious to restart this season. I want more information.
All right.
Very, very good information, most definitely.
Thank you. Now, I was going to ask you because I remember after the first class, you were like, whoo, that was a lot. Talk about that experience after the first class that you were in.
Tina, there was just so much information. I don't know what the first class was. But whatever it was, and then you went into maybe some law, but it was all new information for me, and it was information that I could use that was really beneficial for me. It was I don't know. There was just so much new information on so many different subjects. Spirituality, the law, the history, melanated people, Albion, the feminine. It was just a lot of information.
Okay.
And it's all good. I'm still here.
Okay. So speaking of that, and I'm going to ask all my women now. And Kevin, you can join in on this question too. All right, we're gonna get out of here. But we got a book coming up dealing with women and some of the things that women have questions about. One being the menstruation and being able to stop it. Two, being O positive women and understanding why there's a high rate of miscarriages with O positive women. Three, being tapping into your supernatural powers and understanding what parthenogenesis really is, and going back into history. We got a book coming out. I want to know who would be interested in that book. Would y'all find that to be something?
I would love that book.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to check. I mean, I know y'all would. I'm speaking to the choir. By the way, we got choir rehearsal on Friday. No, I'm just kidding. No, I know I'm speaking to the choir, but definitely that book is coming out because I think it's something that's overdue, especially for women. But it speaks to men as well. This book, it speaks to men, but it's mainly to women and helping women understand, what has been hidden, what their powers are, and how to tap back in. So that book will be out. Definitely, I want all of you all's input, my wonderful students, you too, Kevin. And then you guys look forward to that book coming out. I want you all to know I really do appreciate you. Carla, Genesis, Kevin, Shava, thank you. And somebody else, LaRue, thank you. For being here and supporting UNA. I'm excited about our upcoming season. By the way, we're going into 2026 is going to be and I know y'all like, this is the beginning of 2025, but 2026, that's going to be year 7 for us, and it's going to be huge, all right? Anytime we got a year 7, that's a big year, all right? At least in my life. So we're excited about that. And if you want to be a part of UNA University, find us at unauniversity.com. Okay, so we can get you enrolled. We're going to invite you to be a member or be a part of our workshop. Okay, we got a lot of things coming up. If you're interested in knowing more about the spiritual side, or more about women and the molecular makeup and who we really are, or more about the history. If you're interested in business and getting your business set up right, where it's under trust, it's under your control, you don't have to turn it over to the state. If you're interested in really understanding that, you want to be a part of UNA University. There is a lot to learn, and we're going to give you everything we got. We're going to give it all. If you want to know, we want to tell you. But you got to be in a university so we can make sure you're in your right mind when you receive it, all right? Once again, my lovely students, I love you. We're going to see you in class on the 14th. And my people, TikTok, I love you. We are streaming on TikTok, Twitter, or X, also Twitch, and YouTube, all right? I want y'all to know I love you. We out of here. Diva Laree, we're going to see you next time. I want y'all to give me a hug. I don't have my music up. Wait a minute. Where's my music? Here we go.
We love you.
I love y'all.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, y'all. Where's my music? All right. Give me a hug. Bye, y'all.